What's up, guys? So the latest chapter of Naruto has finally come out. I believe the last wait was about 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks for this chapter to come, but it's finally out, and I deem it worthy of doing a sort of play-by-play, page-by-play sort of review of the chapter. And so, as always, you guys know how it works. First and final spoiler alert warning, and there will be no real summary. I'm just going to skim through it and do the pages that I feel are necessary to talk about. So let's start the discussion. First and foremost, it seems what's happened here is that the half of the Kyuubi chakra that was stored in Minato has somehow been evoked. Apparently there's a sort of, once the chakra split, the Kyuubi sort of had two consciousnesses. How do you say that? Consciousnesses. And so apparently all of a sudden the consciousness inside Minato has spoken up and said, Naruto has moved me. You should use this opportunity to sort of share chakras with Naruto, and the consciousness in Naruto has sort of identified the same thing. Why it took so long for Minato to remember this or recall that, hey, half of an almost near infinite chakra is inside me, why don't I use it? I don't know, maybe Minato forgot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this battle, and it should be noted that the Kyuubi's chakra, although seemingly almost infinite, there's a huge difference between near infinite and truly infinite, which I think the Biju Dama, the 10 Tails, actually has. And so that's very interesting. And so starting off, there's the first page where the Kyuubis are pretty much talking to their respective owners right now. And here's the thing. It doesn't seem like Minato truly ever wanted this to happen. In fact, he sealed half of himself in him, half of the chakra in himself, expecting to die. So it seemed like he wanted to sort of seal half of the Kyuubi's chakra away forever. And so it was very clear from the dialogue, at least in my interpretation, that the Kyuubi just he himself also did not expect this to ever happen. But obviously, due to the effects of Edo Tensei, you have this rare situation where the full power of the Kyuubi can be returned. Why don't you guys just take a moment to discuss that in the comments below? What's up with the Kyuubi? Did you really, like, do you think that Minato honestly wanted to seal away half the Kyuubi's chakra forever by taking half of it with him as he died? Is this actually an effective strategy, or are 10-tailed beasts sort of immortal? So at some point, if Naruto sort of died, would the Kyuubi have been released and all of his chakra returned? Let me know in the comments. Anyhow, here's another interesting thing, and basically Obito calls it his Achilles heel. Now I think this is sort of needed, because otherwise it looks like Obito is pretty much indestructible, unbeatable, and almost super powerful to the point where he can destroy everything. And so I think it was necessary, but at the same time kind of stupid. Apparently his Achilles heel or weakness is that he can be injured by senjutsu, and because Naruto is a very good senjutsu user, which by the way is simply just the use of natural energy as taught to him by Jiraiya, pretty much boom, Obito got injured pretty badly in his blind spot, which is his back. You see a hole through his back with a lot of cracks, and I think it's kind of a cop-out because it's a whole division of ninjutsu, I believe, and so it's not like a small sort of very like unnoticeable Achilles heel. It's like a whole division of ninjutsu that can sort of damage this guy, and it's kind of a huge blatant weakness, a little bit too big in my opinion. But at the same time, if he had no weaknesses, he would almost be like a sort of god in a way, in that he's indestructible, unkillable, and sort of can kill everyone. But at the same time, we do know that he is very far from a god, because he's not omniscient. He doesn't know everything. He doesn't know the past or the future. At the same time, he can't truly manipulate time and space to the full extent of imagination. And obviously, if he could, he would have just snapped his fingers, or he wouldn't even had the need to snap his fingers. He would have just willed it, and everyone would have died. And so he's far from a god. He's still having trouble just fighting on 4 people. So those who are saying that Obito is now on the level of a god is still far off. That's far from the truth. That's not exactly true. And so here's the thing. Despite this, again, I guess this is a common thing, at least in Dragon Ball Z, but he heals it very quickly. Again, it has something to do with the balls on his back, but he somehow heals the grave damage on him very quickly. And it's very clear that Obito, despite being very, very strong, has to be cautious, which leads to the next point, which is that Obito is very, very conscious now. He's not this mindless drone who just sort of can't remember anything. He's in full control. He has all the memories and consciousness of the old Obito now, and I really deem that a very quick recovery, and a very quick sort of control of the Biju. And again, I've talked about this in all my last videos on Naruto, but that's saying something, because as a Jinchuriki, it's very hard to get acclimated with your sort of tailed beast, especially when the tailed beast is a higher tailed, has more tails. And so yeah, it took Obito about what, like an hour or two to get like full control, whereas Naruto, I mean, he's finally gotten full control in a way, but it's really due to circumstances and just how the environment is unfolding. So I would say this is the chapter where Naruto technically has gotten full control of his form, whereas Obito, he got it in like a few hours since he became Jinchuriki. I mean, if you scale that with Naruto, he was a baby about a few hours after Jinchuriki transformation, so I guess you can't really count that. But if Naruto was a fully fledged aged man, and he had the few hours Obito had to control the Kyuubi when he first got Jinchuriki powers, he would have not been able to. And so I'm getting super nerdy here, but let's just skip out, otherwise this might go on forever. Yeah, I'm getting super nerdy here. Goodness knows what's going to happen if someone I know sees this video in real life. Anyhow, here's another thing that's very interesting. There seems to be some new technique with his black balls. You know, those hovering black balls behind him? I think it's really cool. I believe 2 times in the chapter they sort of ignite and get on fire. Why? It's not very clear. Maybe just to power up some technique, but it's very interesting. And clarify me if I'm wrong, but there is at least 7 black balls behind him, which I think it would have been better if there was 6, because there's 6 of those black signs on his chest, and he obviously looks a lot like the Sage of the 6 Paths, so 6 balls better than a random 8. That didn't really make sense. And next page. Hold on, guys. So here's another interesting point. Senjutsu, which is the utilization of natural energy, is actually revealed to be what Hashirama's wooden techniques are as well. Either that, or maybe Hashirama just uses other techniques that are Senjutsu. Why? Because his younger brother, I forgot his name, but the second Hokage, he likened Naruto to be very much almost like fighting with his brother Hashirama, because of his quick wit and quick like understanding of battle, as well as his use of senjutsu to very much remind him of his brother. So that's very interesting. I feel like it's a sort of like bloodline descendant. You know how after the stage of 6 passed, there was like 2 sons or descendants or whatever, disciples, and then one obviously evolved into Sharingan Uchiha clan, the other Hashirama's clan, and so I believe it's almost like a direct descent, with Hashirama sort of teaching all of his techniques and senjutsu down to Jiraiya, who has now passed it down to Naruto, which carries his will. Tsunade as well, but I mean, come on. Tsunade got owned by Madara, even when she had 4 Kage's help. No real trash talk on Tsunade though, because at the same time, she is very strong. And so now we see why, and it's because apparently, as quoted from the dialogue, senjutsu is what Obito has been using this entire time, and that is why he's damaged by it. Which, first off, I think the creator just sort of made up in this chapter. He wasn't planning on it, and I think that doesn't really make sense how he just sprung this up, because apparently due to the dialogue, it said it's quite obvious that senjutsu, now actually the dialogue was like, looking back, it seems quite obvious now that Obito has been using senjutsu this entire time in a lot of his techniques, or something like that. And the thing is, and again, that was roughly around page 11, but roughly, I wouldn't necessarily agree with this, simply because, I mean, Naruto, I mean, we've seen Obito, and he hasn't been using simply senjutsu. I mean, a lot of his attacks, I have no sort of inclination to think that they're senjutsu of any kind. In fact, we know for sure that some of them are definitely not senjutsu, but what's it called, black and white technique, which is, in my opinion, the best form of ninjutsu beyond space and time. And that's simply because you can nullify space and time ninjutsu with it, and that's sort of what Edo Tensei has been nullified for. And the thing with that is, Obito, a lot of people are saying he's probably like OP, he's overpowered and ridiculous and almost a god, and he's unbeatable and he's super strong. Not really, because he's still very human in a lot of ways. If he was really a god, he would have just willed it and everyone would have died. But he's trying very hard and not succeeding a lot of times. And another thing is the sort of, I would say, space and time ninjutsu. Even that, he has no full control. Sure, he had a decent form before he became a sort of, what's it called, Jinchuriki, but like if he had full control of space and time ninjutsu, he would have won the fight hands down. I mean, if you had full control of space and time, I mean, there's so many options. You go back in time, you can sort of teleport, you can sort of manipulate time and space, you can manipulate space and just kill everyone, or just freeze time and kill everyone. So I think obviously he still has a lot of limitations. He's not the most ultimate form, obviously. And then we finally see senjutsu from him. He does like the summoning thing, shoots up this huge tree-like thing, which then turns into this weird demented flower, which then shoots out spores, and then 4 Biju-damas start prepping. And again, that just reminded me of Hashirama's wood technique. And so that leads to the next point, which is Madara and Hashirama still don't know this, and it's proven by the dialogue. Madara's like, you don't need to worry about them, because Madara sees the 4 Biju-damas and he's like, who cares? We have Edo Tensei, we'll just revive after everyone dies. And I guess, yeah, it's very clear that that scene was intended to tell the audience that, yeah, they don't freaking know yet. And that could be a potential sort of plot foreshadowing, maybe like 30 or 40 chapters later, when this final fight comes to an end and Naruto possibly finishes as a series, which obviously some people would hope not. I hope not, but we don't know. When that happens, maybe Obito, it's the final fight is between Madara and Obito to gain full control, and then Madara still doesn't know that he has black and white ninjutsu or whatever it's called, and Edo Tensei doesn't work. So he just jumps in thinking he'll be revived. He does not, and he dies. But at the same time, if Madara and Obito ever fought, I mean, the person who is using Edo Tensei is, I believe oh no, it wasn't Obito. It was Orochimaru's subordinate. So yes, Edo Tensei will still be in effect. But so yeah, Obito can't cancel it himself by just nullifying his own summon Edo Tensei because he didn't summon it. But at the same time, I mean, we don't know if Madara has his own black and white techniques which he can use to counteract sort of Obito's. I mean, apparently Madara's learned a lot since his final fight with Hashirama, and when he was pretty much an old geezer living in a basement cavern by himself just learning techniques. And so I really like this sort of image of sort of Madara in his like samurai form, and then Hashirama in his sort of dragon wooden form, and it's just very cool. Moving on from that, we're only on page 13, and I'm almost about to lose my voice. We see another thing with Obito, and I feel like this is almost something like there's only two possibilities. He learned this technique on the spot after sort of becoming Jinchuriki, or he sort of learned it from the I forgot what it was called, like the 4-tower barrier technique that the 4 Hokages used to seal everyone in a few chapters ago. And so he's either very quick on the fly and can learn ridiculous techniques that require all the powers of the 4 Hokages to use, or on the other hand, there's the possibility that he just acquired all these new ninjutsus automatically from becoming the Jinchuriki, which is possible because there's no way he would have had the power or knowledge to do this, or even the chakra to do this before he became Jinchuriki. And you can see this here because he pretty much goes crazy. It's like a even crazier form of the 4-corner barrier that the Hokages used, because it's 6-cornered, it's a larger area, and yet it has almost the same effect, but it seems to be a sort of, I would say, stronger barrier. And so he uses this to trap everyone inside, so that they'll be owned by the Bijudamas that are about to come out of this spore-like flower that he summoned. And then he obviously wraps himself around this black orb to protect himself, and it's very interesting. I really do feel that Obito is on a higher level, offensively and defensively, as he is shown here in these 2 pages, because no one else in the whole place can just single-handedly summon this sort of offense, nor summon this sort of defense to protect themselves. He did it all in one. He summoned this huge 4 Bijudama attack, and then he just wraps himself in this black sort of orb to protect himself from this blast. And it's very clear that no one else is in his league. No one can single-handedly attack and defend at that level. And so it's a very good chapter. I haven't come to a conclusion at the rating yet. I'm still going with it, but at the very least 7.5 out of 10. I guarantee you that. Most likely higher. And then finally we have this bump fist technique. Naruto, it's not a technique, but it's sort of like bump fists with me, dad, and it's very Naruto-esque. It's sort of like the personality, the epitome that Naruto sort of embodies. It's very, very cool. It would very much sort of cheer on the younger users, but I'm a little bit over that lovey-dovey sort of stuff. Yeah, let's fight Naruto. And so I'm not too happy about that. I mean, it's very cool, but at the same time it's just a little bit too much. I mean, again, it's a little bit with my thinking on how the QB is just, he's done like a 180 now. I mean, before we thought he was this caged, vicious, evil, dark creature, and now obviously the creator has chosen to reveal how he truly is, and he's very much nicer and so much other stuff. But at the same time, I feel like he could have done so much more with the QB personality wise. He could have still made him on the good guy side now, but at the same time not made him into a sort of, I would say, cartoonish, lovey-dovey, happy-go-lucky sort of nice guy creature. Regardless, I mean, there's so much potential with it, which the creator sort of just pushed aside. I mean, remember the QB like 100 chapters ago, he kept alluding to this sort of dark stuff that made him the way he was personality wise, and he referenced Madara and other stuff. And I guess in this new sort of final great village war fight arc, it seems like the creator is just being very quick to wrap up any loose ends, and I believe he just colloquially very quickly said in like one chapter that, oh yes, the QB was he was so dark because Madara captured him, and that was it. It wasn't some big dark story of the past, which kind of ruined things for me. But at the same time, I did like this panel, and I'm going to read it out for you guys. Excuse my cursing. You see the two QBs. The one in the front is like, he has a question mark and an exclamation mark, like, whoa, who are you? And then the one in the back says, hey sexy bastard, long time no see, how you been? Care to spare some chakra with me? And I thought that was pretty cool, because he's talking to himself. I thought that was a very cool sort of thing, and he's remarking on how it's very interesting, how it's a very odd sensation begging one's own self for chakra, and it's just more proof that they were two separated consciousnesses of the same consciousness. Finally, my voice is getting very hoarse, so we're almost done. They do this thing, which leads to my final question. Do they have to continuously fist bump in order for Naruto to utilize the entire QB chakra? Because that's what it seems like. The final panel is of them still connecting the fist bump after like a minute, and then you see in the background the two QBs connecting fist bumps. So it seems like they might need to, at the very least, retain physical contact in order to keep the QB, like all the chakra, in use. And I think this is a horrible loophole. I hope it's not the case. I'm hoping Minato will be able to use his technique that sealed it to unseal it and just give all the chakra to Naruto, or maybe just share it between the two of them. It's very kind of stupid how it took them so long to realize that they needed to use this. In fact, Naruto was like, I don't know if this will work, but let's try it. Fist bump me. And I'm like, come on, dude. There's got to be more complexities in ninjutsu than that. And Minato, who's the one who sealed this, would be the one who would have known about this and sort of should have brought up the topic. Naruto, we need to retain physical contact. I know if it works or not. Or Naruto, I'm just going to unseal my half of the QB for you. Instead, Naruto brings it up and he's like, I'm not sure if this will work or not. Fist bump me. And I don't know, that was kind of weird. And then the dad was just like, yeah, let's try it. So that didn't really make sense. Anyhow, very good chapter, very solid chapter. I would give it a solid 8.8 out of 10, which is a high rating. And as always, a like, favorite, comment, and subscribe for more sort of manga reviews. And as you guys know, this chapter, again, it seems to be a manga review chapter sort of channel, but I'm hoping to one day branch off from this and sort of maybe just do vlogs and stuff like that. So stay tuned for those, and I hope you don't unsubscribe. But as always, thanks for watching.